In Islam, there are two categories of fasting. Sawm, fasting in Ramadan, ninth month of the Islamic calendar. Muslims are required to fast from the break of dawn till sunset. It is an important act of worship whereby Muslims voluntarily abstain from food, drink, and fulfillment of one's desires. The day's abstinence is offset by a pre-dawn meal called suhoor and a nightly meal known as iftar. For iftar, many traditionally break the fast by first eating dates and drinking water. It is obligatory upon every Muslim, male or female, who has reached the age of puberty, with exceptions such as persons who are ill, traveling, pregnant, elderly. For Muslims, Ramadan is a time to get closer to Allah, God, through fasting, engaging in extra prayers during the night known as Tawari, reading the Quran, and doing good deeds. Muslims believe that fasting cleanses the body and the practice reminds them of the suffering of the poor. The main objective of fasting in Islam is to develop God consciousness, taqwa. Ramadan is said to begin at the first observance of the new crescent moon. At the end of the 29 or 30-day fast, depending on the length of the lunar cycle, is Eid ul-Fitr, festival of breaking the fast, when there is much feasting and celebrating. The optional fasting, such as fasting on Mondays and Thursdays of each week, fasting 3 days in the middle of the lunar month, fasting on the day of Ashura and on the day of Arafat during the Islamic months of Muharram and Dhul-Hajj, respectively.
Fasting in Judaism is perceived as a calendrical event. The synagogue is also empowered to impose fasting in a case of misfortune befalling the people, such as pestilence, famine, or an evil decree. According to tradition, on the 9th day of the Jewish month of Av, both of their temples were destroyed. Also, many other historic tragedies befell the Jews in this month. As a result, fasting on certain days were established by the Jewish tradition to keep the memory of various sad events that affected the Jewish nation during their captivity. The Jewish tradition offers several reasons for communal and personal fasting. 1. Atonement or Yom Kippur. 2. Mourning or temple fasts and yard sites. 3. Supplication or prayer, rain fasts, dream fasts, and those to avoid evil decrees. 4. Piety or personal fasts. And 5. Esther, to commemorate the fasting of the ancestors. Yom Kippur is the only fast day prescribed by the Mosaic law. The Jews observe 10 days of repentance, starting with Rosh Hashanah, the Jewish New Year, and ending with Yom Kippur. On this day, Jews believe that the fates of all Jews are to be sealed for the coming year. It is the most solemn and important day in the Jewish calendar, which involves grieving for sins committed in the previous year, as well as praying for forgiveness. The fast lasts for 25 hours from sundown on the previous evening with a special service known as Kol Nidre or All Vows until sundown the next night. Unlike Muslims, fasting is more than just refraining from drinking and eating. They are prohibited from working, having sexual relations, bathing, using ointments, and wearing leather shoes. The giving of charity, especially the distribution of food necessary for the evening meal, is encouraged during the fast.
Fasting is mentioned in the Old Testament and New Testament. Lent is a season of repentance, prayer, and fasting. The season reflects the 40 days that Jesus spent in prayer and fasting in the desert of Judea. Lent is observed predominantly by Roman Catholic, Anglican, and a few other Christian denominations. This season lasts for 40 days beginning Ash Wednesday, the morning after Mardi Gras or Fat Tuesday, and Easter Sunday marks the end of Lent. Mardi Gras was traditionally a day of indulgence prior to the period of fasting and prayer. On Ash Wednesday, Catholics attend Mass to receive ashes on their forehead as a sign of penance. Lent is obligatory to all older than 14 years of age. Resistance to temptation is a crucial spiritual exercise practiced during Lent. This means giving up something dear for the 40-day period so that they would be capable of filling themselves with Christ instead. In addition, Catholics will fast by abstaining from eating meat, but not including fish on Ash Wednesday and Fridays during Lent. There are many reasons given in the Bible for fasting. It is seen as an act of sacrifice that reminds Christians of God, and through fasting, while the flesh is denied comfort, the spirit is strengthened.
In religion, fasting is not an obligation but a moral and spiritual act where the aim is to purify the body and mind and acquire divine grace. The Sanskrit word for fasting is upavasa, which means to stay or sit near the Lord and to keep the Lord close to your heart and mind. According to the Hindu scriptures, to receive blessings, one must fast on certain days with some sacrifice, and this is called vrat. Hindus engage in different types of fasting, such as purity of life, mark of respect for the deities, votive fasting, which is part of a larger picture, for example, Karva Chauth, where women fast for the longevity of their husbands, festival fasting, which plays an important role to bring unity and integrity among the Hindus, example Shivratri, which is the night of Shiva, Navratri, 9 nights, Diwali, Holi, Ekadasi, and Purnima, as well as fasting as a penance. Hindus observing any type of fasting must ensure one should keep oneself pure, honor truthfulness, practice forbearance, and meticulously perform all the rituals connected with it. Avoidance of non-vegetarian foods and practice complete abstinence of any food or drink, abstinence from solid food with an occasional drink of water, or abstinence from certain foods such as salt. The actual commencement date should be made during an auspicious time, and it should never be left unfinished, nor a new one started before completing it. Hindus believe that fasting benefits people at a physical and spiritual level, and people who take fasting uphold values of life and lead a selfless lifestyle.